Welcome into Cincinnati Soccer Talk. I'm Boston Brazel, and you are listening to the oldest FC Cincinnati show in existence. Some people could call us outdated or old school, but we are not bold enough to claim that retro tag. You see, we are wise enough to continue to learn. Today we learned anything is for sale, and using the money our supporters have given us, we are announcing a hostile takeover bid of the FCC club media rights. I know you're shocked. Excitement or concern maybe running through your veins right now. But let me put your heart at ease. We are not going to change much. We will still keep fan favorite features like telling everybody the match starts at 5 when it is in fact 5:30. But instead of the loud DJ music, we're going to swap that out for the sounds of one of our 3 podcasts each week. If we say something controversial, the Bailey can just drum over our voices. I think that would be fair. Of course, we're going to bring back Michael Hood and get him on the air, but only replace one of the 2 current broadcasters that will be decided by an actual donut race at halftime with both of the current personalities dressed up in Duncan outfits. This is the new CST World Order. We hope you enjoy it, but I'm hearing that I must stop revealing too much of this plan and introduce my co-host before we get taken too seriously by those in charge. First up, welcome back to the show, Mr. Lance. I've missed your excitement around here. How's life?
Hey, boys. I'm alive. How we doing?
Good. What'd you think of my my bid there?
I was taking notes. I'm still not really sure what's happening there, but sounds exciting or bad. I don't know.
Yeah, we think we got enough money for it. It can't be how much going to cost?
I mean, it's worth it, right? And good business move.
There you go. Throwing money down the drain. Let's bring him back in. You know him, or you love him, or you hate him. Brian Weigel, I saw your brother was in his spot cheering on the new goalkeeper. Were you right there beside him?
No, because I have to watch my kids because I bought tickets for my wife to go see Frozen. And my daughter to go see Frozen. So I bit the bullet and
that is
let
bullet.
them have fun.
That is a bullet. So
I don't know. You didn't have to go to Frozen, so maybe you didn't bite the bullet.
Oh, no. That was, my daughter's the perfect stage for that. So I let them have a mother-daughter day. And instead, I'm going to go and splurge and have a great father-son day at USA versus Morocco. So excited for that.
So you split the family. So little Bri stayed with you?
Yeah, little Brian and Brodo, we went fishing. Oh, then we, of course, watched the game back here at the house. But, put the TV outside, watched the game with the boys. It's a good time.
Nice. You know who's a good time? Our new co-host tonight. You've probably never heard his voice. Robert Ziegler is here. You might know him from the post-match Twitter space or from his articles that he's been pumping out on CincinnatiSoccerTalk.com. Welcome in, Robert. It is good to actually have you on the podcast for a change.
Thank you very much. I feel like I should have an oxygen tank here to breathe the rarefied air of this particular program, but it's very nice to be here with you all after all the times that I've watched to come alongside and hopefully contribute something meaningful.
No, you've done great work so far. We're excited to have you. Hopefully lift up the education of the podcast. For those who don't know, you've been in soccer for a long time. Can you tell us where you worked before you graced us with your presence?
Well, in newspapers for a long time, a lot of days in the Midwest, but did a website used college soccer, college recruiting. Started that, ran it for around 10 years, sold the company about 10 years ago. And I've had a chance, professional youth national team, college soccer for a number of years to be around it.
Cool. If you didn't catch the name of that was what, Top Drawer?
Top Drawer Soccer.
That's right. The one and only. And I think most fans will recognize that name from around here. But I want to jump into your best and worst. FC Cincinnati played a wild one versus LAFC, and it went a lot different, I think, than most people are expecting. From the beginning to the end, you can't say it wasn't exciting, in my opinion. But let's see. Who do I have up here first? Bri, you want to go? Best and worst?
Sure, man. Let's start with the worst, because I think even though we lost, I felt like there was a lot of positives to take out of this match. Even though Lucho did capitalize on kind of an LAFC mistake there late in the first half. I just think that the team is still trying to figure out what to do and how to capitalize off of opponents' mistakes. And to beat good teams, you have to capitalize every time, and we're just not there yet. That being said, I thought we were well organized. The players are learning what to do, and so I think that's progressively getting better. But we're just not fully there yet. But it shows that we're able to compete 2 weeks in a row with some of the best teams in the league, and that makes me feel great. My best, sorry, choking here, is that we had a decent amount of players out, and fortunately, due to the knowledge of our leadership in the club with Albright and his staff, we relied heavily on our draft picks, and they performed. They've been performing this whole year, and while in the long term, I don't think that's a winning strategy. Like draft picks, I think it's nice to have a good draft philosophy. Hopefully we're going to be developing our own players better, but relying on those three, having Calvin Harris able to step in and show okay, that made me feel very hopeful. And again, that's a reflection not only of Albright and his staff, but Coach Noonan in drilling in those players and those players learning what to do. So a lot of positivity in a 2-1 loss.
Yeah, valid points. Jer, what shoot you? I'm trying new names out today.
That works. We'll go with Jer. The guys at work sometimes call me Jer Bear. It's kind of uncomfortable, but it happens. My best. Not exactly like match analysis here, but like that's probably going to be the best weather we're going to get, like literally all season for home matches. Because the next home match, it's going to probably be like 90. And then that's going to be all the home matches here until we get to like, September, October. And then it's just going to be rainy and crappy. So like that was probably the best weather we were going to get. It was a beautiful day, a beautiful weekend to be out and about. Just strolling through downtown Cincinnati is so just lovely. Especially when you have great weather and just the people just out hanging out in the little outside cafes now, and just kind of just the buzz and the vibe of just a very vibrant, alive downtown city that you get to walk through on your way to the stadium. I love it. It'll never get lost on me how beautiful that is. So that is my best. But my worst, it felt so good. Like we were going to win. We had a lead. It was just, it was bittersweet because you're right. Like there was so many positives to take out of that match. But at the end of the day, we didn't get it. We didn't win. We're in 14th place.
Yep. That we are. And we played a team way, way up the charts. I know what you mean. It's like that almost there feeling. We felt a couple times. But before I get too much into my takes, I'm going to switch over to Robert. Give us your best and worst, sir.
Yeah, the best was just the team's mentality. I've talked about this on Twitter Spaces afterward, that they went for it. Despite the fact that they're playing a team 16 points out of 21, leading the Western Conference, they didn't bunker in. They didn't just try to hold on for a miracle draw. They really went for it. And they did pretty well at that. They created some chances. They scored a goal, might have had a couple more, and just didn't back down against a heavy favorite. And I think Pat Noonan and his staff have set that team out to really believe in themselves. And the quality isn't quite there yet, obviously, but that's a big part of winning soccer is just that self-belief. And this team has that right now. And at 2-5-1, that's not an automatic. The worst for me is similar to what Jeremy said. And I think there's no game like this for no game like soccer for this kind of feeling like you just build up enough hope. Maybe you've got a chance. Maybe we can actually pull this off. And then somebody puts a nail in the tire and the air comes rushing out, and just that sort of deflating feeling. That's it's just the kind of part of the ethos of being a fan. You you get excited and you live and die with the team and results, and it didn't end the way we wanted. So that was the worst part of it.
You want to read some of your guys's from YouTube. The champ said the best is starting to create a lot more opportunities at the net. Worst, Phil Castellini. He makes it on every show somehow. Don't know how that guy keeps making it on Soccer Podcast, but there he is. Augustus Caceres. Celentano is legit.
Yes.
Worst time of the match. I know. That's why I brought it up at the top of the hour. What time does the match start? No one knows. I think it's a big wheel that just gets spun like 5:30. Clifford Adams, best. Celentano gets another one. Worst. Brenner, when offered the opportunity, did not capture the moment. That's actually going to be a segment later on, Clifford, so spot on there. We are kind of thinking the same thing. Rupesh's worst was decision-making in the final third. Definitely can see where you're coming from there. So FC Cincinnati, weird game. I think they even had injuries fans were not expecting. I saw a lot of where's Brandon Vasquez. I saw a lot of why isn't Cameron starting? And then, of course, Alec Can missing his start and giving Celentano the thing. So I named this podcast Stars versus Subs because it was kind of the greatness that has been heralded of LAFC, MLS's golden child versus the ragtag group of FC Cincinnati. And that's kind of my best, is that the ragtag group hung in there and I dug it. It was really cool to see a young group of guys mixed with a dependable group of guys and play a game that honestly I thought was going to be 4-1. Somebody asked me at the place before the match. He said, "Do you have any hope?" I said, "Nope. I know I'm supposed to. Like I'm on this podcast. I'm supposed to pump you guys up, but personally, deep down inside, I thought, no way, this is over." And then we scored a goal first, and wow, they just have a lot more in them than I think sometimes they get credit for. The worst being letting it slip away. It just seems like we can't get that final perfect performance in. And I know there's substitutions. I know there's rotation, but it does feel different. The matches are competitive. And I believe you can find a quote from me last year and maybe some of the rest of you guys saying, please, all we want, even if we lose, are competitive matches. And of all the things we've dreamed have come true, that one seems to have done so. You can get in touch with us, though, at Cincinnati Soccer Talk on Twitter or email us at feedback@cincinnati-soccer-talk.com. We would love to hear from you. Let's talk about this, guys. Hagelin suspended. Vasquez out. Can hurt. Cameron on the bench. New faces in John Nelson, Celentano, returning Ian Murphy, but at center back. What'd you think when you saw that roster roll out? Were you surprised?
Yikes.
Yes.
Yikes. When I pulled that up, I was I had just gotten to like Symphony to like hang out with Rupesh and some of the guys there as we were waiting for the march that was delayed, because I was like, oh wait, the march hasn't come by. Oh, that's because the match isn't starting on time. So they were tipped off at least. And I bring up that starting 11, and I was just like, oh no, like this could go really bad. Starting a lot of guys that, Celentano making his MLS debut against one of the best clubs in the league, going again, trying, hey, good luck stopping Carlos Vela. Like, I mean, those are those things going through your head, like, this could be a real problem. But yeah, I mean, for all the fear I had, once the match, starts happening and you just kind of saw how everything was kind of working out and how the team, Robert, you mentioned, like, they weren't just going to they weren't sitting back and just trying to survive the match. Like, that's kind of what you thought they were going to have to do, and they didn't. And it just made me feel a lot better about the situation, even though at the end of the day, we didn't get the result.
Brian, who's your stud of those three? And then who's the...
Of which three?
The three new guys. Nelson, Celentano, and Murphy.
Well, I mean, Celentano, but for the sake of argument, I think John Nelson acquitted himself very well going up against some of those players, man. Valen, that attacking core, with not having too much, games under his belt. So, yeah, I mean, it's just, again, bringing in guys that know the league, how to play. Even a lot of people are like, yeah, let's bring back Edgar Castillo. I think he probably would have done fairly well, but it's just we're bringing in players that know how to play in this league, and you could see, okay, I can't beat a player pace for pace, but I can turn them the right way, and it's amazing when you do that what lack of attacking options LAFC could generate.
Your boy Atanga is on the bench for SC Cincinnati too. Didn't even get a run out in this lineup.
Dude,
What's wrong?
Dude. and Barreal was hurt. Yeah, man. I don't know.
That was the story there. I was wondering where Barreal was.
Sorry, six.
Okay.
Sorry. Yeah. I don't know, man. I after seeing Atanga, I think playing okay during the U.S. Open Cup game, it's just head scratching to me. But I don't see him in practice, and I mean, it's not like he was lighting the world on fire. I'm kind of taking a micro trait for him to extrapolate over playing time. So,
well, it was funny as I saw that he wasn't even in the 18, and I said, "Oh, poor Brian Wagner."
Yeah, I know. It's like
he's the only champion.
Bailey. It's like you and Zico Bailey.
All right, Robert, what'd you think of the three young guys?
Well, Ian Murphy to me is the guy who, both these last two matches has really stepped up. I'm not sure there were that many expectations for him to even play all that much in the first part of the season. I think he's played quite well both of these games. And depending on what formation the team uses, I'd say based on these two performances, he will be in or around the starting lineup for some time to come. And that's got to be viewed as a bonus in the overall roster building, team building project that Chris Albright and Pat Noonan have going on right now. So he's the guy for me long term, and not to take away from the goalkeeper's heroics at all.
Yeah.
But I felt like Alec Khan has started the season pretty well in goal also. So there's some depth there. But Ian Murphy, I think, is in with a shout now to be in the starting back four.
He absolutely should, especially if we're doing like a back three. He should get a shout now. Cameron, he's come back.
Cameron didn't light the world on fire when he came in.
Yeah, but he also got hung out to dry on that goal, but on that first goal. But
seems to happen a lot.
We'll leave some of the arguments for not having Jeff Cameron on the field aside. But yeah, I think that's a good shout. I mean, he's certainly showing, the youngster's certainly showing that he can play. Yes, he's probably going to have howlers, but it's amazing when you look at that roster, Robert. Okay, we had Gustavo Vallecilla essentially taking that third center back role. Okay, we'll call it third center back role. You sell him, you get a bucket of money for him, and then you have Ian Fleming playing well enough, and the value of that roster slot and him performing is ginormous for this club, and it allows, maybe Albright goes, maybe I don't have to bring in another center back. Maybe I can put that money into another role, and that's great for the kid. I hope he can keep doing that. Did I say Ian Fleming again?
You did it again. This is like the third show in a row.
Did I really? Did I do it again? God.
Like, we're gonna have to send you to like a shrink to get that just driven out of your brain.
Did I really do that? God.
David Moore. James Bond's coming to the team.
This is a great time to drink Swerex, shaken, not stirred. I'm trying the coconut refresh flavor tonight, and I was like, yeah, this one never had it. I'm like, it's probably going to be. It's money.
You're gonna want to mainline that one.
Yeah. Tell you what, my wife is stealing all my Swerex. I'm pissed.
Brian Weigel dodging into the ad read. That is a new one.
Just forget I'm here. God.
Oh man, no, you had some people agreeing with you. Murphy looks really good, positioning and movement. Is he doing enough to keep Cameron on the bench? From David Moore. That was a question. I'm not sure. I think Cameron's your guy still, but I don't like Cameron in 90-minute matches anymore. I kind of like him off the bench or starting and then subbing.
Does he have 90 minutes in him anymore? I mean, no, I brought this up at the beginning of the season. Like, he's at that age where like the ability to go 90. I mean, you kind of just fall off a cliff with that a bit, and it's coming.
To me, if somebody is going to miss out on playing time because of Murphy's emergence, it would be Nick Hagelin.
Correct.
I could see
correct.
Cameron, and maybe part of this has to do with, I don't know, salaries or whatever. But I expect Cameron will still play quite a bit in the back line, and maybe Hagelin will as well. But I think he might be the one whose place is the most under threat.
Yeah, center backs are the big issue, right? And there's talk that theoretically there could be one signed before the end of the season. You think we're going to get another center back to replace everybody we've lost?
Is Jerome's Bordeaux falling out yet? I mean, come on, what that is.
What do we have? A month left till the window closes?
Like 2 weeks, I think.
Oh wow! So time's flying on me.
Till
here.
this
Could be
window,
wrong.
and then
Yeah, this window, I think.
there'll be another one coming around.
There was somebody they're talking about from Brazil again, wasn't it? I don't know.
Yeah,
how
I
it's
saw that
Twitter
too.
rumors, but
Are we getting fleeced by an agent again about a fake rumor?
Probably. Bordeaux is 4 points behind Saint Etienne, so possible.
All right. How about the high kick at the towards the end of the match? It's been all the rage on Twitter, so we have to bring it up tonight.
No, we don't.
Yeah, I think so. So you've seen the screenshot, right? Like the perfectly positioned screenshot, where Acosta's looks like he's getting kicked straight in the face. You doing anything there, or are you? If you're the ref, you're letting the game stand as is.
Yeah, I don't think it was close enough to where contact, like where it was, because that would have been considered like dangerous play, right? Like
Is it
like a high boot in and of itself is technically not a foul, but it's technically part of like dangerous play. So it would have to actually be like considered dangerous play. And so my seats are actually pretty close to right where it happened, and I don't know. I mean, obviously Acosta had to react to it, but like, I don't know if it constituted like, oh yeah, he was in danger, or he was, it was a flagrant, move with the leg there that was deemed dangerous. I don't know. I was frustrated in that moment too, but like having kind of slept on it. Yeah, probably not as much as I wanted something to be called there. Like probably not.
What do you think, Robert? You were watching from television.
Yeah, I think it's a goal. Coach Goff will not be happy with me for saying that, but you can't go by a photograph for one thing. That's not how any referee's decision is going to be made. Even slow motion replay, to me, it wasn't enough to stop the play there for me.
Jamie Amos on Facebook saying Acosta's challenge was more viable. We were lucky he wasn't sent off. So he's arguing.
Watch that replay over again, and you're like, okay, there was a lot more deliberate intent into what Acosta was doing just by the way he turns in his body like that. He has no play on the ball. He's going right into the back of that defender.
Yeah, I actually kind of like the way this match was reffed. I'm not.
I agree.
Yeah, it wasn't bad.
People hate Ismail Al-Fath. Did Acosta get a yellow for that challenge? Right.
I don't know what happened. It was on the other side of the field.
Like other
it was just
things,
a sea of people.
But yeah, I thought that was a foul.
There was a couple yellows I thought given out at that moment.
I don't know, man.
It was yellow heaven at the end of the game.
Yeah.
The cautions were for the argy-bargy afterward, I think.
The goalkeeper.
Yeah.
The goalkeeper, yeah.
Oh yeah, that was. I was telling Robert before the show. I was a little bummed because Crapo is how you say it, right? Max, but he's from Ottawa Fury. We watched that kid grow up through the USL. He came to Nippert Stadium, played for Ottawa, and then he was like one of the first USL in our era players that got to go up. That was like K does it for Louisville. Max went up and he played for Vancouver, and it was cool.
I remember being in the Bailey yelling, "Hey, Crapo." I remember that. I remember doing that there in Nippert.
There was a time I was pulling for that kid because we're a lower league team and just seeing him go up. And then I just expected I don't know what I expected. I expected something better because it was just like he's coming back to Cincinnati. He's gonna remember the good old times. No, he was a jerk to the Bailey like right away, and then he came out fighting and screaming at players and yelling at injured Acosta. Woof, guy was a mess. But it kind of bummed me out because I liked the guy. Now I don't know what to feel. I'm a mixed bag of emotions over here. All right. Anyway, Brenner doesn't find the net again. That's kind of the biggest takeaway for me in this one. Where on earth is Brenner at? He did have a heads-up play to Acosta, but really that's Kubo's takeaway, right? So, Robert, do you expect more out of your $13 million striker?
Over the course of a series of games, yes. You have to at least play a few more matches with him in the starting lineup before you start to shoot any arrows at him. I think he's looked all right. But yeah, he for a striker particularly, I think he's got to have 2 or 3 more games from the beginning. And I expect actually from just the look of him, I think you are going to see some productivity out of him. And the biggest thing with that to me is he and Lucho need to have a good chemistry. I'm not sure that is there at the moment. And I'm not just talking about arguments over penalty kicks, but I'd like to see the two of them mesh a little more in the forward third of the field. And hopefully that'll come with a little bit more time.
I'm more mad that he got subbed off than anything. I didn't think he was bad. I think he probably if he would have gotten the ball more, maybe made a better impact. I was hopeful. Of course, I wanted to see him score more, but I mean, he still had a positive impact in the game.
Yeah, no, I think his movement was great. I felt like he was connecting a lot better than he did. I go back to like the Charlotte match. I felt like he was making a lot of individual good movements, but like his passes were just clearly not in sync with the rest of the guys there. But again, it's at the end of the day, like you were brought in here to do one thing, and that's to score goals. And like eventually that does actually have to happen. Like great play, good build up, cool, whatever. Goals have to happen when you're the $13 million striker. And I know that's kind of like a tough weight to put on a guy, but that's the reality. Like that's what you're here to do, man.
Yeah, I almost get worried that it's in his head. They even asked him about it before one of the reporters did, and I was like, no, don't talk about it now. He's gonna be thinking of
how could it not be? How could it not be in his head?
Yeah, it's tough. It's a tough situation to be in. He said he has had a goal drought before, so this is like a second one, I guess.
Okay.
So he didn't seem like he kind of brushed it off in the interview, like, oh, I've been here, I'll get out of it. So there is that. The one thing I'm with you, Brian, when he was subbed off and we brought on Nick in mechanics, right? Mm-hmm. And I said to the guy next to me, I'm worried because if LAFC scores again, it's over. We don't have like, who do we have on the field? Vasquez is gone, Brenner's gone. And so it's up to 2 younger players that we just haven't seen the minutes of yet. So, granted, if one of those 2, say Calvin Harris, bangs in a goal, we're all singing his praises today. But that's kind of where you were left off. It was a gamble. Noonan took that risk. Like, let's finish this game out 1-1, get Brenner off the field. His defense had been playing well. I get it. I understand it. But I think that ended up being the one bad call of the game that kind of sunk him.
Markanich had a great chance after he came on, and I don't know if he's just a one-footed striker, but I felt like he needed to take that opportunity first time, and instead he made a rather cumbersome switch over to the other foot, and then the chance was gone.
Yep. How about watching FC Cincinnati this season? We've talked about it a little bit before, and I'm going to change gears here in a second. So if you're looking forward to something besides LAFC talk, it's almost there. Let's hammer home the point just of the difference of FC Cincinnati this year versus last year, because I walked away from the LAFC game more excited than I thought was possible to walk away from a loss. Does that make any sense?
What was the first home match of the season? I kind of felt like the same way. Like we played well. We probably deserved something out of the game. We looked the part, and I think we've said it every show. We finally reached to be as good as the other worst teams in the league versus being clearly the worst team. Now, let's see what happens when we get Obi. Let's see what happens when we get a couple more players.
Are you picking me up for the airport ride tonight?
Ooh.
Going down
We
there?
do have Jeremy down there. We do have Jeremy down there tonight.
Am I
covering
considered the closest to the airport? Uh-oh.
Obi-Wan? No, I'm definitely not. I'm like an hour away, maybe 50 minutes away.
I can get there in 15.
Could we not have gotten that guy an earlier flight? He's got to come in at midnight.
Now that's something to complain about. What time the guy's flying in?
Blame Delta. Blame
Listen, I get
Delta.
that like 40 to 50% of all flights are being canceled right now, but like, come on. Let's schedule that a little better.
Whoever Uncle Carl or Aunt Meg had to pay off to get him over here in 2 weeks, bravo.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Maybe throw in a charter next time.
I mean,
No,
Well,
but
the question, though, isn't the question going to be how soon? Because he's played a full European season from August till just here a couple of weeks ago.
Mm.
You want him to have some time off, right? If he's going to play all the way through to November or whatever.
yeah, Boston's going to slap me down for skipping ahead in the show, but
you're fine.
no. In all honesty, back to the game and to okay. Austin was terrible, and we've been hit by the injury bug this year. But I tweeted it last night that the coach is the coach/coaching staff, we'll say, because you see Kenny Arena in there, you see Dom Kinnear coaching these guys the entire match. That's the fourth DP, and I firmly believe that this coaching staff is doing a very good job, even though they're towards the bottom. I think most, even like Nashville fans and Columbus fans watching this match nationally were like, Cincinnati's kind of got their act together. It's not fully there, but I mean, I'm pretty hopeful, guys.
Yeah, no, it's definitely. I mean, if you look at last season and you look at this season, like.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't see a difference, I don't know what to tell you anymore. There's clearly a difference between the way that this team is operated. This team is just the overall vibe of the players on the field. Than it was then than it is now. Huge difference.
And that's with you have like I always call myself like the Don Baji, the president of the Don Baji fan club Cincinnati chapter. And I mean, I'm kind of there with Junior Moreno right now. Is this guy going to be a world beater? No, but God, he's so much better than what we had. And he's fulfilling a good role. Now if we can get Kubo to start connecting again, and I mean, if Coach Noonan's going to have options the second half of the season if we can get some of these bodies healthy and back, and if we can do something with our U22s that aren't doing jack diddly.
If Obi is such a space eater that he's being described as, that should make a big difference both for Marino and Kubo going forward a little more, but also for the back line. It should give them a lot of protection. So that can make a big difference really overall.
What are we projecting that midfield setup to look like?
No, pause. Hold up. I want to go into our thank our supporters real quick because you guys are jumping right into what I want to talk about. But
took that into the list there of what we're doing tonight. Just ripping.
Well, it's awesome that the natural progression's happening off what's supposed to
light the rundown on fire.
I know, right? But we do want to support our fans that keep this podcast, show, website, all of the things we have going on running. It's you guys really that run it all and keep it going, paying the bills, etc. So let's give a big shout out to Ree Lee, John Davidson, Mike Hudson, Robert Stephen, Laurel Failer, Matthew Adamczyk, Riley, Stephen Burke, James Denbrough, Tom Newhouse, Brian and Brad Weigel, Brian Gills, Dan Alberts, Will Kychuk, Ian Rexroad, Augustus Caceres, Bill Antonitis, Carl Feit, Jeremy Schrand, Kyle Pohl, Christina Sharma, Rupesh, Tom Beaversdorf, Jason, who is super average, John Haskell, Ryan Ernst, Mary Lou, West Anastasi, Rob Pierce, Clifford Adams, Thomas Steffs, Pierce Johnson, Mike Prentice, Mr. and Mrs. Wiederhold, Rob Gaselli, Kevin Day, Jamie Smed, Alex Carnegus, Mike Bowman, Brett Sova, Chris Hubbard, Kevin Cooney, Joe Max, Jack Emery, Sarah Gorman, David Moore, Bob Ryan, Ryan Durkin, Bart Labita, and last week I said, if there's anyone out there that has a complex last name that wants to torture me, sign up. One person took that challenge. So Mark Neuenschwager.
Neuenschwager?
Just take a running. You got to take a running start on that one.
Neuenschwander.
Yeah, Neuenschwander.
Appreciate
Neuenschwander.
you taking that 100% literally and going, oh, I can mess this guy up. So congratulations, you thoroughly have wrecked me. Even though I was told you supported us in the past, like
yeah.
And so I appreciate you coming back into the fold. I should know because of that. So I was tempted to go back and cheat and look at an old podcast to see how Sub said it because it probably was right. But I didn't. I wanted you to get the full pleasure of my first read. And then I will go back and try to fix it later.
It delivered.
Yeah. Boston, how long have you lived around this German city and you can't pronounce names like that?
I've been married 10 years, so 10 years.
All right.
I'm pretty bad at it. I do appreciate them, though. I wish I could say things better. Let's get into the topic you guys were already digging into. Obi Wobodo is coming in tonight. That leaves this weird, tricky midfield situation because I would slot him somewhere around Junior Marino. So then it's who are we shifting and why? I think you were just starting to ask that question, right?
I fully asked that question. What are we doing with that midfield?
All right. Well, you just take over this segment then.
Well, we're diving. We're last place. So, we really have to kind of grasp this several different ways, but we're kind of getting into the realm where we're finally getting into having good problems. We have to figure out, okay, Alan Cruz played well in the USM Cup. I thought he played well on Sunday. Is he getting back into form? Is his brain in the right, going through everything he's gone through? God bless him. Is he a player that could factor in? God, I hope so. Late arrivals into the box. I mean, is he going to be could he be a part of the diamond midfield? Does Barrena go to the bench? Can he be a box to box? Do you do the 4-2-2-2? I mean, there's a lot of things that we can really try, or Coach Noonan can try. He's getting a toolbox now to efficiently use, and that's never happened here at FC Cincinnati. We're plugging squares into circle holes, and now we're finally getting there.
Do you move Kubo back to his old natural position?
Does that position exist in these formations?
That was a joke. You don't have to literally answer that.
I said something stupid in our Slack channel, but depending on how it goes over the next 2 months, if Kubo wants to get a move to somewhere else this summer, and we have these issues, the flexibility to do so, I'd be okay with it.
Yeah, you just bottom down. Here's my big problem with the midfield still. And I actually am stealing this because I heard it at the supporter bar on Sunday. It's still too easy to get through there. Like when I watch an FC Cincinnati match, I feel like I'm watching it in the back half or the front half. And even in the Open Cup, where you're playing against Pittsburgh for 45 minutes, and there still was no midfield. I was like, these guys are Pittsburgh. Why do we still? But then I just wonder if that's part of the way we're structured and we're just not fully connecting yet. But I'm hoping that Obi finally gives us a midfield. And that's a lot to put on one guy, especially a guy that's coming in with probably a season's worth of tired legs.
Robert, Jeff Cameron can play 50 games in a year. He can too.
Can he, though? Is he going to do that again?
Robert,
yeah. Well, I think they're going to want him to hit the ground running. Like, I mean, they're bringing him in.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, I don't, as much as it might help him in the long run to have like a slow add in where he kind of gets bedded into the system and bedded into just minutes. I feel like they want him starting as soon as possible.
I think anytime you bring in a DP, absolutely.
So you think he could play at Toronto?
I'm giving the guy like 2 weeks off, like
Yeah.
straight.
Oh, we got 2 quick games. We have 2 quick games in succession, followed by U.S. Open Cup. I
Yeah.
think I'm more tending to agree with Jeremy.
I don't think you have the option. Like I think you kind of got to get his feet wet. Maybe you don't start him all those times, but yeah, I'd say he's getting minutes each of those next 3 matches.
I mean, he shouldn't be out of shape. He was playing in Turkey no more than a month ago, so he should be all right. I think the standard that you see for an off season over there is usually about 4 weeks before they start training again for the next season.
Yeah.
So, if you waited, honestly, just 2 weeks, I know you don't want that because you want to see him. We all want to see him, but if you waited just 2 weeks, he would basically have that. Now, what that looks like then on the backside of that, as far as ramping up fitness-wise or whatever, I'm not sure. And maybe from his perspective, he feels like I can go until October or whatever it is, and then I'll rest. He's already had a couple weeks off, like Jeremy said. So to me, though, if he's really that prime number 6 that they've been looking for, like Brian said, you've got all kinds of versatility now in terms of formations. If Kubo and Moreno both play at 8, or if you're going to bring one of the other guys in, you mentioned Barriel or somebody in an attacking role, you could play a diamond. It just makes such a difference beyond just the position that he's playing.
Clifford Adams with a valid point here. I'm not sure folks really understand the bench depth we need. Do we not remember July and August of last year when Stom killed our starters regularly, Clifford? I remember the same guys going out every single week, and the discussion on this show being like, holy crap.
So wait.
Yeah.
Do they ever not play?
Wait, you're telling me we can't start Don Baji at left back anymore? That's absurd. Come on.
Yeah, hey, luckily, Pat Noonan actually trusts more than 13 of his players to actually ever get on the field. So
he's playing the kids.
You saw it in this last one. Sure, some of it's just pure necessity, but I think just having Ian Murphy out there for 2 games now makes it way more likely Ian Murphy plays the 3rd game.
Just slightly different than last year.
Wee bit different.
And
our coach has a lot better hair.
I think that's kind of what we're trying to figure out, though, Clifford, is we agree that Obi being out there adds something to the midfield and probably pushes somebody onto the bench, or at least sparks a rotation. Yeah. And I'm more hoping it's rotation because I don't think we should play the crap out of Obi every single game either.
Yeah, there's definitely depth in the midfield, contingent on maybe a Cruz playing better, and then what the hell do we do when we need to sit Lucho Acosta, or if he gets hurt, we're really in a lot of trouble there. I mean, so the 10, we don't have depth, and then your outside backs are hurting a little bit right now, but
we've already depleted that depth.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, is it more than likely that the odd man out then is Kubo?
I'm just not sure. Like,
I mean, if you're gonna play Moreno, you're gonna play Obi. Well, help me out here. Like, where would Kubo go then?
It depends on tactics. It depends on tactics to some degree, I suppose, because again, you could have Moreno and Obi playing, twin holding midfielders, and only one attacking midfielder, or Brian mentioned 4-2-2-2. All sorts of different things you can do, and getting some of these guys a chance to play in the first half dozen games of the year gives Noonan some options. Like Harris, I don't think people would have expected him necessarily to be putting in a good performance in this game. So he's more of a viable option, especially if they're setting out to press. He looked pretty effective in that, actually. And speaking for myself, he was maybe one of the players I was least familiar with coming into this game.
Yeah.
I don't know what the answer is there. I think you just play with it. You play with it and see what happens and who needs to shift and move. You've got Joseph in chat asking for Mid-Union to start because he thinks he's the best connector to Kubo.
Double what?
I mean, it is truly an option. So I don't know. I just know that what we're doing right now seems to be the biggest on the team. Like the possession is the reason FC Cincinnati is not ever taking the possession game is because I don't think they can because of a weak midfield. So I'm hoping we shuffle things around, make a difference there. That's just my take. Could totally be wrong. That's why we all listen to Coach Goff's podcast as well, just to get a second take on that. Do you guys notice how much Toronto's in the schedule? Like it's
good
absurd.
dose of it coming.
It's
Hey, at least we don't have to play the Italians.
That's true. Get them off the schedule before their reinforcements show up.
Oh yeah. So we play at Toronto on Saturday. FC Cincinnati 2 plays at Toronto at the same time or same period. Then everybody gets on a plane together. FC Cincinnati 2, and Toronto all fly back to Cincinnati to play a Wednesday game here.
It's a large plane.
How weird. It could
Well,
literally be just a plane of soccer players.
We have to remember that concert got rescheduled, so the concert got scheduled, so we had to reschedule that match. But yeah, might as well do it.
So, what's the advantage or disadvantage of playing the same team twice? And Toronto's in 5th place. We're further down there, but this could be. If you beat them twice, obviously you shoot way up the chart and knock them way down. If you win 1-1, you get to know them really well. Both sides might rotate.
I mean, we beat them last year when we couldn't beat anybody. So.
Yeah. Well, I think isn't Toronto and Brad? I think's having a March to match day, but I think they're playing a pretty substantial pressing style. And so if we're playing them back to back, you think that might benefit a little bit there.
Explains why they got rid of Josie.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens. Again, it's another test for us to a measuring stick game, and finally, I think you're going to have to keep seeing those young kids play, and they're going to have to perform. Get these, we need to get points here. We need to start getting points bad because we could see things tail off and get negative again. But we'll see.
I would imagine we get some reinforcements back. I'm not sure how bad everybody's hurt, but like if Alec Cain's back in the lineup, I would assume that's the case.
Yeah, I mean, we don't really have a whole lot of info on what that injury really is, right? Like so it cropped up in the warm-up of the Pittsburgh match?
Yeah.
Or
the Open Cup warm-up.
Right, because he was scratched from being on the bench.
Mm. And then I was trying to think who else just kind of had Vasquez kind of had he had a knock in the game. In the last game he played in.
Right.
So his could be, we heard 2 to 3 weeks. If you count this as 1, maybe this whole next week would be 2. So he's theoretically possible.
Pat Noonan made the comment before the game, though, that for a lot of these guys, it's them not making the team for a certain match. A lot of times is more about looking forward to the extended part of the season rather than whether they might have played a little bit in that game. And I kind of got that impression about Brian Vasquez for this last game. As you talked about availability. So
theoretically, it was possible, maybe.
Yeah, exactly. And it's smart team management, of course. You obviously don't want to force somebody back in and then you lose them for 3 months or something.
Yeah.
But I think depth is being developed. Now, again, I'm not pretending the quality is like it would be for some of the best teams in the league. But there's just such a positive direction now that you can just look forward to these games with a little more optimism and not feel like you're in misery because so-and-so is going to be in the starting 11. So far, a lot of these guys that have been tried out have actually performed pretty well.
Yeah, speaking of optimism, I'm kind of excited to play Toronto. We saw what we could do against number 1 LAFC. Let's see what we can do against number 5 Toronto. And if we screw up, hey, we got a second chance. Or we can just go see what FC Cincinnati 2 does if they beat them, and then do that. There's a lot of experience to dig up here against Toronto. It is interesting. I can't recall anything like this in our MLS past, playing a team back to back.
Yeah, I mean the closest was, what was it 2 years ago or whatever when our crew matches were like 15 days.
They're close
within each other.
Oddly enough, right after this we have the Revolution in the Open Cup, and then there is the Chicago in between them, and then we play Revolution again. So we have that same situation. It's going to be Toronto, Revolution, Chicago, Revolution.
seems like the time to play the Revolution. They're kind of
Ooh, yeah.
they're having their early season spinning the tires that a Bruce Arena side tends to have.
If I could swap that out right now, I would. Like, give me Revs right now.
We'll take them.
Hopefully they keep their faltering ways up. Well, we're gonna dip into the back half of the show. Miscellaneous World Cup bid news came out this week. It looks like Cincinnati is on the back half of that selection process. Are you writing this off?
Come on, you've learned to not listen to Grant Wall. Come on, you've learned this.
Is that what Grant Wall's saying? Is he poo-pooing the city of Cincinnati? That's completely unlike him.
Grant
Never-
Wall
never do
threw
that.
a bucket of ice water all over our World Cup bid.
So what was he claiming?
He claims he
he's-
has heard from inside people that, and he listed like the cities that are out.
He listed his
were-
15,000 Twitter bots that he paid for in 2009 to get his profile up. Research that. Google that one.
Number one was Cincinnati. Paul Brown Stadium just isn't good enough is his reason, and talks have just been a non-starter with the World Cup committee. That's Grant Wall's take.
Cool. Thanks, guy.
So he's being spoon-fed that from somebody, right?
He didn't say. Yeah, it was a big wishy-washy tweet, but
No. Grant Wall? That guy's on. He's got his finger on the pulse.
So some updates on the bid is I think they said Vancouver's back into it,
Sure.
and then the DC bid was floundering. So
Yeah, so they merged with
partnering.
Baltimore, right?
So in theory, you add one city back into the hosting, take one out. So I don't know. I still think it's a long shot.
Kind
But
of a BS
It was always going to be a long shot.
2 and 3, and you never know. Jeff Birding's, you never know whose palms he's going to grease, and it's soccer. So hey, we'll see what happens. But heard the Argentine rep was having some really good Jeff Ruby. So we'll see.
Win them over one steak at a time.
There you go. We'll call. We'll just start naming FIFA individuals that get their own stakes at Ruby.
Well, I mean, we had people like freaking out that the June 1st match was like the make good on us not getting the World Cup. Like, no, like the June 1st match is because people will buy tickets in Cincinnati for a friendly. That's what that was. That has nothing to do with any of that. Like, it's all not the same. It's like flipping chords around here.
I saw that. I disagree with that as well. We are not getting a makeup match. One, because U.S. Soccer doesn't care if who's getting these World Cup bid sites, as far as like that's a whole different organization choosing.
Yeah. Plus, you're gonna need to give us more than one if it's a make good on the World Cup. We're gonna need like 5.
The rest of the U.S. would lose their mind if we got 5 more games.
Everybody freaked out. Oh, Ohio's getting all these matches. Yeah, because we show up to the match. We pay the terrible prices and we show up. That's
see.
why.
We'll see. Just wait
It'll
and see
stand
the
up.
prices this week.
I'll be
Yeah,
there.
we'll pay
They're
it.
gonna sucker me in. That's for
I
sure.
bought my seats already, homies.
Yeah. You're already a sucker. What were you talking to?
I got nice seats.
Oh, real quick, FC Cincinnati 2 fell 1-0 against Inter Miami. I kind of partially wonder if the second team has had a little bit of struggling because we're sucking their players up to the first team, and they're not exactly getting their A game.
And yet a Tonga sits.
And yeah, and we send a Tonga down. No, they're not losing badly or anything. In fact, they had a three goal lead at one point the week before. So, if you haven't paid attention yet, check out the 2 team. That is the future there. And so, I'd give it an eyes look. I think that
The matches are free, people.
Matches are free. But
Free to show up.
the cool thing about it is they're playing the same system, so they're going to be more ready when they come up than say Obi will. We're just going to throw him into it. So here's how we play. Get out there. Do something in the midfield, sir. Speaking of which,
Flanagan kid, just watching those games, he missed a penalty in the last game, but really lively as an athlete. His feet need to get better as a player, but you can see that now they're playing these meaningful matches on a regular basis, and that's how somebody develops. Maybe it's not going to be him. I know he's been I think he's been cut from the team twice already, but Ordonez obviously is another one who looks promising. But it's just good that they have this set up now, because for years that was a big gaping hole in MLS's setup, that they didn't have a real way of developing young players, and now they've got something pretty viable.
Yeah, you no longer have to have somebody ride the bench. You can go, and that's what I think is interesting about Flanagan. Even though they've not given him the permanent shots on the first team, like you said, and he's gone back down, they clearly are still wanting to put minutes in his bucket. So they're not giving up on him. Anyone that's playing for the second team, they have not given up on, because that's minutes you could give to a guy that you want to grow. So when they move to the second team bench, that's when you can worry about him.
Right.
Final thoughts. You want to dip into it? Robert, what else you have for us?
I'll go ahead and predict a win and a draw for FCC against Toronto in these two upcoming games. It'll be a threshold crossing, corner turning sequence of matches. I think they are on the verge of something good, and it'll start to come to fruition in these games against the team from Ontario.
Man, you just threw 4 points out there. I wasn't expecting that. Brian Weigel, good to have you back on the show tonight.
Yeah. Just stay tuned to Cincinnati Soccer Talk. A lot of cool things are happening, and Robert's doing some great stuff with the post game Twitter Spaces. So please keep checking that out. It's a labor of love, and we appreciate all your supporters. Just keep having fun with the club, and if you can't go to games, you try to get your seats filled and try to grow the support. I guess that's really all we can do right now. So just keep at it, guys.
And I hope you guys like watching Toronto, huh? All right.
Hey.
Last but not least, Lance.
Hey.
Oh, Canada. Yeah, I don't really have anything big, grandiose final thoughts. It's my youngest daughter's 6th birthday. Shout out to her. She is not a listener of the program, but shout out to her anyways.
Man, I've been working on our 6-year-old audience too.
We'll grow it. We probably need to, liven up the music. Probably just, I don't know, have like random noises in the background just to keep their attention.
That's who I saw on Twitter earlier this evening, right? Doing the little dance.
Yes, that was
Very
Grace,
nice.
the 6-year-old. Yes, she's
got some sass.
She does. She's 6 going on 15. So it's fun times here at the Lance house.
Nice. For the supporters tuning in, we finally have a leader in our Growler Cup. I believe. Oh man, I had it up and I think I just lost it. Lee Epling, 18 points. You are officially the single point leader with 18 points. A lot of people are right behind you at 17, 16, 15. So we'll have that up on our Patreon later on this week so that you guys can all see where you're at, as well as pick your first Toronto match. And if you get it wrong, don't worry. Another one right behind it, and you can roll out and try again. So we appreciate you listening. Thanks for tuning in. This is the closest I'm going to get to an hour probably in a long time. So if you're wondering why it's 6 minutes shorter than it normally is, count your blessings. Next week, I'm going and asking for those 6 minutes back. Have a good one. Onward to Toronto.